What's up, fam? Welcome to Tuesday night here on A2DRadio.com. Lazy Booking back after a little bit of a hiatus, coming at you for your Survivor Series review, Undertaker farewell review, and a couple little odds and ends here on Monday Night Raw in the fallout of Survivor Series. I am Chrome, joined as usual by my guest here, and my co-host. Hey, you got it right this time, bro.
We did.
The Ginger Gang, Matty Sinsudi, joining me, brother. Good to have you back, man. Good to be back together.
Hell yeah, man. It's awesome to be back here with the Lazy Booking.
Absolutely. Special shout out. Obviously, we got to go through our sponsors here because we love them so much. All Campus Sports, All Campus OC. You need hats, t-shirts. You can find them Ocean City Boardwalk. Go check them out. All Campus. Shout out to our guy, John Coyle, as well as our doctor, Dr. Paul Vidal. Find him in Burlington, Cherry Hill, Princeton, New Jersey. Find him on the web at specializedphysicaltherapy.com. No appointment necessary, so make sure you hit up Doc Vidal. He's the best out there. Ambuck Services, any gutter guards, gutter cleaning, tree trimming, deck installation, restoration. Now's the time to do it. Hit up Michael Ambrose over there. Let him know the fam here at A2D sent you. It's ambuckservices.com, AMBUCK services.com. 20% off if you let them know that we sent you. And also Philly Drinkers. Philly Drinkers. Guys, you need Joe shirts, A2D shirts, polo shirts, shorts, stickers, tumblers, anything you need. Lots of fun stuff over there. Get your A2D merch. It's phillydrinkers.com. Get specifically to the A2D gallery. phillydrinkers.com/A2D radio. Lots of really cool stuff there. A couple of those shirts are on sale. So get over there, check them out. Our topic of conversation today, brought to you by Philly Drinkers. That is the Undertaker's celebration. Did him justice? Agree? Disagree? We're going to talk about that, Maddie, because I know me and you, we were kind of just talking a little bit ahead of time. I really enjoyed it, but there's, wrestling fans are never satisfied, and much like everything else, there's complaints about was it enough, wasn't it enough? So we'll talk about that and much, much more. But before we head into that, I mean, considering that kind of falls into Survivor Series, let's run through a little bit of the card here, and
Sure.
let's run down the card. Let's give our reactions to it. We'll give our ratings for the pay-per-view and much more. So, Maddie, let's go with the pre-show. I know we had the Battle Royal, right? Was there anything else on the pre-show that I missed? Just the Battle Royal.
I think it was just the Battle Royal. Well, no, there was one other thing, and that was the Gobbledygooker finally won himself a championship. It took 30 long, hard-working years, but you know what? Finally, just finally, you got to give credit where credit is due. That Gobbledygooker finally came through, and he got himself a championship. Good on you, Gooker, winning the 24/7 championship.
That's perseverance, brother. Perseverance. It's never say never, never say die attitude from the Gobbledygooker. But yeah, so I forgot about that. So yes, the Gobbledygooker wins the 24/7 title on the pre-show for Survivor Series. And then we had our Survivor Series Battle Royal. Came down to, it was Dominic Mysterio and who was in before with him? Remind me here.
It came down to the final two. Was the former Shorty G, Gable.
Shorty G, right.
Yeah. And then Miz wound up sneaking back in and winning the whole thing. He pulled a 97 Austin to win that Battle Royal.
Yes. Yep. So Dominic Mysterio and Chad Gable, they end up, facing off to the final two. So we think. And obviously, after a pretty good back and forth exchange, Dominic Mysterio tosses Chad Gable. He thinks that he's the winner, and lo and behold, here he comes. Chicken shit the Miz. Sneaks up, comes in, and Miz takes care of business, dumps Dominic, and Miz wins this. Reactions to the Battle Royal? Just the Battle Royal, my opinion. What'd you think?
It was, a pre-show Battle Royal, wasn't it? It's like the very, very watered-down version of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, the participation trophy for it. But at least the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, if you win that, sometimes you might get yourself a future big push moving forward. But this one was just more of a, we really had nothing else for everyone else to do, so get your asses in the ring. We got us a battle royal.
That's it. So Miz ends up on top here, coming out of this battle royal. And that kind of leads us into obviously our main card. So Maddie's going to run down the main card. We'll give our reaction to the matches.
Sure. So, first matchup of the night after the kickoff, after everything's gone through. Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. AJ, Braun, Keith Lee, Matt Riddle, Sheamus with Omos up against Jey Uso, Kevin Owens, King Corbin, Otis, and Seth Rollins. Team Raw gets a clean sweep win over SmackDown.
Yeah, interesting match. When I look at the firepower in terms of team versus team, I think it makes sense that, whether it was a heavy win on the Raw side, or as it ended up being a clean sweep, I thought that overall, some interesting points. Obviously, Seth Rollins sacrificing himself. I'm going to be interested to see how that plays out on SmackDown. And I think, just talking about what we talked about Saturday, Maddie, we kind of had a feeling if Jey Uso gets eliminated, it was going to be one of those Roman's disappointed moments. So we got that. But overall, decent match. I'll be honest, I'm going to be real upfront. Not a big fan of this pay-per-view altogether. But so you're probably going to hear a lot more down than up. But decent match, decent opener. It was essentially what I really expected. You had a little bit of dissension, then they started to work together, and it was what it was. What do you think?
I mean, it was an interesting choice to have the clean sweep. And correct me if I'm wrong, was it Andy or was it Butters who brought up the clean sweep on Saturday?
I can't remember.
Either way, though, I don't know, but they kind of backdoor called it that there was a clean sweep coming, and it wound up happening where, we get the Raw team sweeping through the SmackDown team, which, I mean, it does serve a storyline for SmackDown. It serves the Roman Uso storyline. For everybody else, it's kind of just a whatever, kind of like, okay, just showed up, take the loss, and move on. And that was kind of what happened.
Yeah, basically. I mean, it's essentially what it was. Couple cool spots. I like how the little powwow outside of the ring, and then Braun obviously coming out and launching the entire team, running through them. I like that. Matt Spillane disagreed to the poll. Everything this man did for 30 years. I thought it could have been more than that. Matt, that's the opinion of a lot. I hope that when we dive into this in a few minutes, maybe I can have you look at it from a different perspective, because I have to be honest, I can not completely disagree with anyone who disagrees with this poll even more. But that's Agree to Disagree Radio, right, Maddie?
That it is.
So, moving on, match number 2 of the night.
Okay, then. Match number 2 of the evening is, let's see here, non-title matchup for the tag team champions. We have the Raw tag team champions on one end versus the SmackDown tag team champions. Street Profits getting a big win going up against the New Day.
Yeah, I think we talked about it on Saturday with the boys over and in this very ring. I think we all kind of figured this would be the match of the night. Clearly, to me, this was the match of the night. Great chemistry between these two teams. It was kind of a, almost a precursor of a passing of the torch, so to speak. Even though the New Day's still tag champions and they're still hot, it was a little bit of. I had to pause my movie. I heard gobbledygooker. Yeah. That's true, Prism. We had a gobbledygooker title victory on this card and loss, but
yeah.
Maddie, what was your reaction to this matchup?
My reaction to this matchup was, good matchup, really fun, great spots that they were pulling out there. With the New Day and the Street Profits, these are two really, really good tag teams. So, I mean, I expected a really good match. My expectations were pretty high for them. And I would safely say I think that they really hit where they wanted to. They had some really cool moments. They had some, iconic, kickouts. And then, of course, with them ending with the handshake and everything, kind of that passing of the torch feel to them, I thought it was a really well done match, really well put together match, told a good story. New Day thought that they were going to get the win, thought that they could beat the Profits, that the Profits were New Daylight, and then the Profits proved, no, we're not New Daylight, we're our own thing, and we just beat you. So I like that. I liked how this match went down.
Yeah, I would agree. It was clean, and that was fine. I mean, again, I thought a really, really strong matchup from two of the best tag teams in the company, two of the best tag teams in the business right now. But even aside from that, if I was to be a little bit critical, and I knew this wasn't going to happen because they were promoting that damn expansion pack for a video game. What's up, Dad? What's up, Big Dad? Says my boy. I thought this could have been an opportunity to turn Big E on the New Day, considering kind of all the exchanges that they've kind of had, with the Street Profits and the New Day behind, in backstage over SmackDown over the last couple of weeks. It would have been poetic to have him then turn on the New Day here, cost them the match with the Street Profits. And this doesn't mean Big E aligns with the Street Profits, but, it's an opportunity to get that heel turn, to get a little extra heat on Big E and kind of, really kick off that singles run for him. I think he's got the chops. I mean, he is a lovable guy. Everybody loves Big E. But I think it's an opportunity here where maybe you could have drew some heat on this guy and really, got the motor running for this guy for a strong heel run.
Yeah, I would agree. That is a missed opportunity. It's another chance for you to, see if you can rocket strap Big E to the moon, light him on fire, hopefully, with a strong heel run, to use the wrestling lingo. But yeah, you just I don't know. We'll see what they're gonna do with Big E moving forward. Because they didn't do anything here tonight, so. I don't know. Maybe we'll wait until they put the titles on the line for that to possibly happen. I don't know.
Yeah. But great match of the night. I think it was pretty clear that we would agree on that. There was some competition, and we'll get to it.
Oh yeah.
That had it possibly locked in until the shitty ending. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that. But so we'll move on to the next match. And in the meantime, I'll pop up this little comment here from Greg talking about the poll.
Greg says, I agree to the poll. Obviously, I'm sure we would have loved to see more. With the Thunderdome and no fans, it was as good as I think it could have been. I agree with you, Greg. I even without the fans there, I thought it was very fitting. And again, we'll touch on that momentarily, but I agree with you, Greg.
All right, then. So, next matchup, probably the least interesting match of the night. And we have the U.S. champion, Bobby Lashley, with the Hurt Business, Alexander, MVP, Sean Benjamin, up against the Intercontinental champion with that ugly-ass Intercontinental title, Sami Zayn. Bobby does get the win like we pretty much thought he was going to. And I really could give two shits about this match.
Yeah, the feud didn't work the first time they did it, and I know it was a different circumstance. Bobby was still trying to pull off the face run with the former superstar, the former military veteran, and all of that, and it didn't really work. It kind of was force fed at the time where we all knew back then that they could have did more with Bobby. I really love Bobby right now. I'm a big fan of his character. I think him with the Hurt Business and MVP has really touched on some of his best characteristics of his character. That said, again, agree with you, buddy. Didn't really care about this match that much. The right guy won the match, but this to me was just very forgettable.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate because that these two are capable wrestlers. It's just that it's it was a nothing match, and unfortunately, it's sad to say that the two mid card championships that you want to use to help elevate people are just kind of in nothing situations right now, and they really are.
Yeah, it just Sammy doesn't move the needle for me right now. Sami Zayn. I would have hoped coming back. I like Sammy as a heel. I like him actually much better as a heel than a face. It's just this character, this almost Castro type of look that he has, and the martyr that he is. I just don't. I haven't related to it before COVID and everything that they were trying to do with him. He came back and it's essentially the same character, and I don't know. I don't relate to it. I don't find it to be a really good heel character. I dislike him, but I don't dislike him for the right reasons. I don't dislike him because of strong heel work. I dislike him because I just don't think it's a compelling character whatsoever. Matt saying Bobby's 1,000% better with the Hurt Business. Agreed.
Yeah, and it's an interesting it's an interesting storyline. I just hope that they do the right things with it. Right now, it's not really doing anything crazy, but
Yeah.
hopefully it'll get better as we go along. So as we move on to the next match, they pull up Andy's comment from earlier on the poll.
What's up, Crumbs? Have a great show. I think the Taker celebration was good. You could tell it was emotional for him and Vince. Would I have liked more? Yes, but it involved fans, so I take what I got. Okay.
Oh,
No,
right,
not bad. I get it.
you can't rip him yet.
I'm trying to hold. Well, no, I'm not going to rip him. I'm not going to rip him. I mean, he liked it. The whole he gets it. What he would have liked would have involved fans. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm gonna get into it when we're not that far from it already. So
Yeah, true.
we'll dive
Let
in.
me see here. Next up on the card, the Raw and SmackDown Women's Champions facing off with each other. Sasha Banks getting a huge win over Asuka, the one female wrestler she has not had a victory over, and she's had pretty decent amount of losses too. So, yeah, that was a big win for her.
Yeah, good match. I liked it. It was a clean finish. I think it was probably one of the better matches on the card, to be honest. I don't have too much to say about it, although, like you said, uh, a huge win for Sasha, who I think needed it. I don't think it hurts Asuka at this point. I mean, it's actually really sad to see the Raw Women's division where it's at because there's no competition for Asuka. There's just not.
Yeah, and I mean, from what you would take from Raw, it's almost like they might be easing Asuka and Lana to eventually take the tag titles off of Nia and Shayna, and maybe they're going towards that, which I don't know. Hopefully, that you get a program out of that somewhere down the line. But you're right, there really is thin competition out there on the Raw side of things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a Nia guy. I think that there's an opportunity for Shayna Baszler, and maybe she comes out of this with Nia a little bit stronger. I think they missed the boat on her. She was pretty hot around WrestleMania time, and for whatever reason, they backtracked on that. But I mean, honestly, when I look at the women's division on Raw, outside of Shayna, I'm not incredibly compelled either about anybody that I believably could compete with Asuka right now.
Yeah, you're right. It sucks, man. It sucks when divisions go through these lean periods. But who knows? Maybe they'll elevate someone.
Yeah, but again, though, you look at SmackDown, I feel like SmackDown's a little bit deeper. I'm not saying it's incredibly deep, but it's a little bit deeper. And I think that, again, they made the right decision here to finally give Sasha the victory over Asuka clean. I think it'll be stronger for her moving forward over on the SmackDown program.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you wonder where they were going to go with Carmella. You wondered if maybe she was going to get involved, which they decided not to do. Which, I mean, it is what it is. Whether they decide to pull trigger on it or not, it would have made sense if they did or if they didn't. So
Yeah.
you're kind of in a win-win spot there with that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think that I would have been okay with it if they would have done so, but they didn't, and that's okay.
Yeah. All right then. So let me see here. I got Jake chiming in, and let me pull up the next contest here for us.
Let's see, what's up, boys? I agree to the poll. The celebration was good, but wish it was in front of fans.
Yeah, it seems to be the common trend here, which is not really all that surprising with the no fans. So let's see here. Women's Survivor Series tag team match. Raw versus SmackDown, of course. Lacey Evans, Lana, Nia Jax, Peyton Royce, and Shayna Baszler, who wind up defeating, in a very odd way, Bayley, Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, Natty, and Ruby Riott.
I think the match went about as we would have expected. Bianca Belair, to me, is still the all-star of this entire core of women. So at least she was factored into the finish of the match. However, we'll see what the direction of this Lana thing is. I don't think it was just a punishment through tables. Clearly, there is a direction that they're going with Lana, and I'm fine with that. Here's what I don't like, Maddie. And I know I had this conversation with Pete Ryan, and Andy the other night in our chat. I don't love the bully angle. I just don't. I don't know. I just feel like now, and it's not me being like super PC or anything, but we did this whole bully angle with Nia Jax going into WrestleMania 34. And now it's this, we're using one of your big faces for the Be a Star program who's just bullying somebody literally week in and week out, just putting her through a table over and over and telling her she's a joke, she's not. I don't know. It just seems in poor taste for me. I don't. It's wrestling, and it's a program, so bully angles happen, and it is what it is. Just something about the execution of this and the player involved leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So maybe Lana comes out of this better. We'll see. I was fine. Actually, I was actually fine with this ending.
With the count out.
The count out and kind of Lana not even on the apron, just standing on the steps. I actually kind of liked it. I don't say I loved, but I liked it. It was different. It was kind of foreseeable. We could kind of predict something like this would happen, but I didn't mind it. I thought it was fine.
It was weird. It was really, really strange. But in an odd way, it's funny because this is what happens when you have someone you need to protect who's going to be the last person on the team in Bianca, and you have someone that you want to elevate in Lana who's sitting on the stairs for Raw. So how do you get around this? Well, since you can't have DQs, what you do is you just have Bianca get counted out. She got screwed over. She didn't get pinned, so she didn't lose clean. She didn't lose anything out of this. And Lana got elevated. So it's kind of a weird backdoor way to get somebody over, and that's exactly what I thought. Like, they did the backdoor route of getting Lana over. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and on top of it, you still had that kind of impressive feat of strength when you had Bianca do the back body drop over the guardrail with
True.
Nia. So again, still a really impressive spot that highlights the power of Bianca as well. So, overall, some people have an issue with it being Lana that got out on top. I didn't care. There's a purpose to it. It's continuing and furthering the storyline. And that's one of the things we talked about on Saturday, right, Maddie? Are we going to continue to further some of the storylines here? And I felt like they did execute that fairly well.
Yeah, they did. What's up, Chucks?
What up, Chuckser?
Yeah, so that is the women's Survivor Series tag team match. Now on to the main event.
So real quick, too, a couple more of the comments that were from here for the women.
Sure.
Anthony Adis, I heard Alana is going to AEW when her contract's over. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the predictable scenario, possibly. Although Lana loves to be, Lana loves the spotlight, man. And as long as she's there, if she's going to get a featured spot, I don't know. We'll see. It's possible. Who knows? I think she's still got a while yet on her contract, though. I don't think that's ending anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, honestly though, with the way that the women are booked in AEW, which I'm still not really a big fan of, I think she's fine just staying in WWE. Just my personal opinion. I think they'd mishandle.
Yeah, and
That's.
okay. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just gonna say that's just my opinion though, but then I was just gonna bounce it off to you.
Yeah, yeah. And Matt says, kind of ironic that Matt Milcarrick from Ultimate Wrestling Fanatics, it's kind of ironic that Nia is the one doing the bullying when her most memorable storyline was her getting bullied. Absolutely, Matt. Same thing we were just kind of discussing. It's just a weird thing. And it's not even just that. That's her most memorable storyline. That was her main title program to get her finally over the hump to get the title win. And then she's the face of one of the big faces of Be a Star. I don't know.
Hmm.
It just leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, yeah. And Damian Hernandez said Bianca Belair got screwed.
I mean, Bianca, to me, Bianca's strap a rocket to her, man. She's going to be shooting up through the stars real high.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, if Sasha's still the champ by the time that she's ready to go for the belt, that's probably she'd probably be the one to take it off of her.
Hmm.
But let's see here. So main event time, and it is the Universal Champion versus the SmackDown's WWE, or I'm sorry, actually it's opposite now. WWE Champion for Raw and Universal Champion for SmackDown. We got Roman Reigns with, of course, Paul Heyman up against Drew McIntyre. Roman does get the win, but it is by referee's decision, as they have officially put that down as.
This match was great. And if you hark back to their WrestleMania 35 match, right? I think we've talked about it before. It wasn't that exciting of a program, but they built Drew so high at this point, really elevated Drew that and Roman as a heel for that matter. This was well done in a very short period of time. And I felt like this was a highly anticipated match. And I felt like as the match was developing, it was a great match. I really felt good about this match. However, and I get it, it's a schmaz, this and that. We're going to protect Drew. I don't know. Another one, man. To me, the ending just killed it. It's just so repetitive that we see this now that to me it tainted it. It tainted it. I hated it, and in the end, I hated it. I hated the ending. I hated the match now because of it. And we already know what kind of a heel Roman is. Um, it just felt very forgettable for a match that started out very, very high. It crashed to earth very, very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, and there's something to be said for, wins and losses. And one of the things of, you can lose a match. Yeah, the old adage of, well, you got to protect this guy. It's like, well, you can lose a match if you look strong. And Drew looked very strong in this matchup. There
Mm-hmm.
wasn't anything that would make you scratch your heads like, oh, well, Roman owned his ass. Like, no. Roman didn't wrestle circles around him. Both of them complemented each other very well. And they have complemented each other well in the past. This one just had a lot more steam to it. It's just, I feel like they decide, well, we don't want to risk it. We don't want to risk people, feeling like Drew can't hack it with Roman, and I feel like that's BS. I feel like that's unnecessary to protect him. It's like you can lose, but as long as you look strong in the end, still elevates you. How many times do we see young up and coming stars lose to a veteran, but because they did so well in the match, doesn't matter that they lost. They got elevated big time. Think about Austin and Brett. Yeah, Brett may have won that match, but Austin was shooting right through the roof after that one.
Yeah, this just didn't execute that to me though. I just felt like this was same old shit. To be
Yeah.
to be blunt, it just felt same old shit, old hat. And I just to use like an old term. It was old hat. It was just very, very forgettable to me. Do you guys think Miz should have cashed in on a prone Drew? No. No, I don't. I don't think that he should have. Um, I'm glad that they left him out because that would have been cliche as well. And I don't think they're going to remove the title off of Drew this early.
Yeah, because I mean they just did with Orton. So and yeah, he got it back. But the thing is, it's like okay, you just took it off him with Orton, and now you're taking the belt off him again. Not to say that Drew isn't supported because he is. It's just Chase baby faces are kind of those that are just like, well, they're gonna get no one's gonna lose faith in them. They can chase forever and ever and ever, and that's fine. That's what their build has basically. Drew's more of that. Well, for him, let's have him have a run with the belt and continue to build up his stock and everything like that. And that's where I think he's still at. I don't think that they're at that point where he can chase constantly and people are gonna be with him for the ride, the entire time.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, to me, the opportunity here, if we're going to have Jey Uso interfere, is to have Jey Uso cost Roman this match. That's where, in my opinion, this should have happened. Or simply put, just I mean, cost him. Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, uh, just have him come in, and whether he gets caught by the referee interfering or he hits Roman, whatever it is, have Jey Uso cost Roman the match in this one. I know wins and losses don't matter, but in terms of the story and to do something a little bit different, to give me something compelling to look forward to, that's what I would have looked for. Not a fan of it. Didn't do it. Didn't move the needle for me. I will say this though, if the possibility is in the future, what it did do is it did open my eyes to want to see this match again, hopefully in a different circumstance to end it. But
Yeah, and it's an interesting decision that they made here towards the end, but you know, I guess at the end of the day, they really felt like they needed to protect Drew, and at the same time, they wanted to continue pushing the storyline even further with Jay and Roman. Which I mean, pushing that storyline is fine. I have no problem with that. Where they continue to do that throughout the night, that doesn't bother me. But the whole needing to protect Drew thing, I do disagree with. It's like, well, you don't need to protect him. Again, if he looks strong, he can take the loss, and it's not going to kill his momentum. And also, it's not like the championship's on the line. So it's like, yeah, you lost to the other champion on Raw. You're not losing to the Intercontinental Champion. You're not losing to the Tag Champion. You're losing to the other World Champion. So it's not really
mhm,
killing your stock in any way, shape, or form.
yeah. Uh, so moving on, I felt like this pay per view moved pretty quickly. By the way, I felt like it was a fast pay per view. But moving on, the main event of the evening, the true main event, and tying it back to the poll question, the 30 years of Undertaker celebration. 30 years ago, we had the debut of the Undertaker, and tying it all back together now, we know his final match was the Boneyard match at WrestleMania 36. Fantastic match. Um, but this opens up where they announce, some of his closest friends. So they had the Bone Street crew come out, all living members of that, minus obviously Yokozuna, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, Jeff Hardy, Mick Foley, Kane. Who else am I missing here? Oh,
Uh, the the Godwins.
well, they were the Bone Street crew, but I was gonna say, was fun to see the Godwins come back, to hear that music hit, and for them to come out in the overalls. Obviously, them and Savio Vega and the Godfather. Pretty cool to see them all come back. Um, so that was kind of where we were at. We had that opening. Oh, Big Show was part of this. And really, that was it. Just to literally just walk down the ring and shake each other's hands. Then they go to a great video package, kind of chronicling, the biggest moments of the Undertaker's history, as led by Metallica playing in the background. Um, they come back, and all legends are no longer in the ring. It's just Vince. Vince gives a very touching and emotional tribute to the Undertaker. Vince gets emotional, which you don't see very often. Um, and then he announces the Undertaker. So the Undertaker, in his Typical Undertaker fashion, has a nice, grand, long, old entrance, comes out, doesn't walk the ring steps. He has a platform that lifts him. Now, I found this funny, not because of that. Like, I mean, like, I thought it was kind of weird, but what's funny is like the internet, like, oh, is the Undertaker hurt or this and that? And no, they just wanted to do something grand. They wanted to make him, supernatural and lifted to the, but Undertaker comes in, gives a very brief statement, simply stating, I've, over 30 years, I have made a lot of people rest in peace. And now it is time that I let the Undertaker rest in peace. I loved that way of that verbiage that he used. Kind of basically almost saying, Mark Calloway, the man, is going to let the Undertaker, the character, rest in peace. Dig that a lot. And probably what was the highlight of the whole thing, the highlight of the night. The bell tolls a number of times. Undertaker strikes his pose, and they do the image of Paul Bearer standing in front of him, which was a beautiful touch to this thing. To me, probably the most emotional part of the whole thing. And then they kind of just wrap it up there. Taker makes his exit. He leaves. Slow walk up. Does the look back, the arm up, and then walks out.
Yeah.
So, Maddie, I'm going to ask you, agree, disagree. Did this do the Undertaker's career justice?
With the situation that they had, yeah, I absolutely believe so. I mean, I think, I think that to have that parade of legends and future legends just coming down to the ring and, going through just a little brief history of what happened between them and The Undertaker. It's like, it really captures the scope because you have wrestlers in there that are still active, and you have, gentlemen who have not been in the ring in a long time, but they are legends in the business, from either one specific era or from all time. And the fact that you can have that many people who had such a, either a personal, attachment to the man Undertaker, Mark Calloway, or to having that great moment in the ring that they will never forget because that's the moment that helped elevate them because they got to be in the ring with Undertaker. I felt that was really special. For Vince to announce him was special as well, and the image of Paul Bearer, of course. It just, for not being able to have an audience there, for being restricted to what they had, I felt like they did everything they possibly could do to make this as big of a moment as possible with the video package and everything, and I like that he kept it simple. He didn't go on a long speech, he didn't, get personal, just true to the Undertaker character. He just simply said, rest in peace. That's it. And then he walked off, never to be seen again, sort of, running away leaving as mysteriously as he came. I thought that was very fitting of the character.
Yeah. Before I go through mine, bring up Matt's comment here.
Matt, sure. Let me grab that. Hold on. Actually, sorry.
I'll start. That's all right. I'll start to read it while you pull it up.
Here it is.
Matt Milcarrick says, I personally think it was a mess. He already officially retired. They had an entire month of Taker. They could have gotten away with a video package and Taker come out, take off his gear again, and leave. Legends didn't do anything, and the audio was really, really weird. Also odd that Just Vince did a speech. Okay, I'm going to dissect a little bit of that. And Matt, I'm not giving you a hard time for your opinion, but me and Matt do disagree on a lot of things. I can understand all of that. Let me kind of break that down as to why I actually felt like this was very fitting. In terms of the people that came out, the only miss that I felt was that, and maybe there's a reason why, Michelle McCool wasn't part of those people that came out, and I felt like she should have came out. In terms of the people that came out, I felt like they were probably pretty spot on with the superstars that did come out and just want to be there for support. I felt the video package was spot on. When they came back, I also thought at first, man, it's kind of odd that they kind of just came out and were gone. But here's my whole perspective on everything. I can't continue to judge things fans or not. We don't have fans. We're not going to have fans for a long time. And I think that it's very unfair to continue to put things at that measuring stick. I have a buddy, Michael Kenny, who in a post in the Ultimate Wrestling Fanatics, which is a great Facebook group, by the way, guys, if you want to jump in, there was the conversation on was this enough, was this not enough, and Michael made a really great point in that there's only one 30-year since Undertaker's debut at Survivor Series. So fans there or fans not, if you wait for fans to be present, this moment is gone. It's not something you can go back and replicate. So this was the time to do it. And yes, Matt mentioned, he could come out and leave his gear in the ring again. Again, with that, I disagree. We've seen it. We've already seen it. To parody something that we've already seen, to me, makes no sense. What's up, Pete?
Hey, Pete.
I felt like when I sat back and I think about the character, and even for Vince to not be in the ring with him, I felt like was fitting. Vince came out. Vince is the guy who should have given the speech if there was going to be an additional person. And I thought that Vince also kept it simple, but effective, showed the emotion of the moment, and then turned the reins over to The Undertaker. His infamous entrance, the smoke, the lighting, everything. You touched on Undertaker's speech. I thought was spot on. I don't feel like this character needs the pomp and circumstance. And that, one of the things I've been harping on for people who've been saying, well, it wasn't enough. Nobody got these farewells. Nobody got these until Ric Flair.
No.
And now it's become the standard for everybody. And it's the same dog and pony show that we see over and over again. And this character doesn't deserve that. He deserves the ring for himself in that moment. And people say, well, he already pulled the curtain back. What's the big deal? Yes, he pulled the curtain back. But this is where I say, and I'm not saying this isn't towards Matt. This is just a general statement. From actually more so towards a lot of other people. Well, he's pulled the curtain back and this and that. Okay, so wrestling fans aren't satisfied. And again, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about a lot of other people, actually. This is the dissatisfaction of wrestling fans that, well, we always wanted to hear the man talk, and now we've heard him talk, and now that's not enough. It's not enough that after 30 years, we've gotten so many great stories. Things that for 30 years were never, ever would have thought you'd see the light of day.
Yeah.
And now that's not enough, though. Now it's, well, we want him to break kayfabe, and we want him to do this whole, hug everybody in the ring stuff, and we want to have fans in front. No, I don't want that. I still want him, when the lights are on and he's in front of the camera in the ring, to be the Undertaker. And he can do that. And that's my issue, is that I felt like this was perfect. In a weird way, almost better that there were no fans in the arena. It was just this character in his own moments. And I loved that. We've seen it. If you want to see a fan farewell, you've already seen it. Go back and watch WrestleMania 33. You want to see that last great match that he had in the ring? Go back and watch Extreme Rules from last year. I mean, he could have just done the last ride and never been heard from again in terms of stepping in a ring. But I felt like, Survivor Series, 30 years since then, you would never have this moment. To do it at Extreme Rules or, some other, Vengeance or whatever the hell other pay-per-views, even Royal Rumble or WrestleMania wouldn't have made sense. We've already gotten it at WrestleMania before. So we're past that. This was the
True.
only time to do this. Fans or not, this was the time to honor this man at the ideal time, and I felt like it was done the right way. And the fact that the addition of the Paul Bear spot was what to me tied the bow on top. And I get it. We're wrestling fans. We always want more, but sometimes simple is more. Less is more. And in this character, less is more. And that's it. I can't put it any other way, Maddie. Less is more with this character.
Well, this one will probably make you feel pretty satisfied. Prism saying, I trust Chrome's judgment in wrestling in general, it seems. If he says it was good, I believe him, and I'll check it out. He said Adam Page was good, and he was. So, there you go.
I love you, Prism. You're my guy. I just, again, I mean, whether you're a longtime fan, a short-term fan, someone who watched it when you're a kid, everybody knows this character. He transcends the sport. He is on that level of Rock and Hogan and Austin, of people who you don't need to be a wrestling fan to know this character, to know
absolutely.
who the Undertaker is, And I just, again, I don't want to see the Shawn Michaels farewell and the Ric Flair farewell. Yes and no, Matt. I get what you're saying, but at the same time, to me, it is combining that real life aspect and then the character. The real life aspect in the beginning of let's go out and let's show the people. There's nobody in the arena. They're not going to have a pop, but there's a worldwide audience at home. Let's show the people who mean the most to this guy, who have been the most impactful in this guy's career, whether it's in ring with Shawn Michaels, a confidant in Ric Flair, obviously a guy who he mentored in Jeff Hardy, who he put over in a big way in one of his most memorable moments, or the Bone Street Crew. Those guys meant so much to The Undertaker. And if you don't believe it, if you didn't believe it when you watched it, when you go back and you watch the second edition, the Broken Skull Sessions, one more round, he really does dive more into that group, that group that he traveled the roads with. Absolutely. And again, it shows more of the man and the character and those people who got him their data. Which, by the way, if you haven't watched it, phenomenal. I don't think I want to spoil it yet. That would be a good thing to recap some of the stories on a future episode, particularly when he talks about the Godfather, Charles Wright, and some of their stories. And I'll tell you what, Maddie, if you for anybody who hasn't watched it, to just give you guys a little bit of a preview, and I'm not going to get any details, but I will tell you some of the stories that he talks about Shawn Michaels, about the Bone Street Crew, WrestleMania 14. I never heard that story before. You listen to some of those stories. I mean, there's no punches held on this one. It's very, very, very good. So I definitely suggest making it a must-watch as soon as possible.
Absolutely. And he also gives great insight in some of his matches as well. Insight that only of someone who is in the match or as a wrestler can give you, which is always great to hear.
Kevin Godwin, he asks, Tom says, to the poll, I disagree. Just here so I won't get fined.
And then Kevin Godwin's comment.
Kevin says, do you think this is a true farewell like Michaels or more like a Ric Flair where he comes back for one-off spots and promos? I think he's done. I do. It just seems, I know it's Undertaker, Maddie, and we have our doubts about things. And obviously I want to get your opinion on this, but I just feel like the writing on the wall and how much he talks about how physically beaten up he is at this point and how prideful he is. I think the moment he pulled the curtain back, was the real moment he realized I think we're done with this.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like he truly feels like that's it, and that's his call, and Vince obviously is the type of guy who, never say never, of course. But the thing is like, I feel like he's kind of in that spot where he feels like, Vince, I not right now. I can't, I don't want to do it and not be able to do it well. And like you were saying, pridefulness on his side, and he's got a good point there. You don't want to throw yourself out there when you can't do it like you used to. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you don't want to do that, because then that hurts you. That hurts your reputation. That
Hurts
hurts
the
you.
legacy, man. And
Yeah,
he's right. He summarizes it as, I don't want to be a parody of myself. And he
yeah,
was getting there. He was getting there.
yeah. It's true, and I mean, it got to the point where we almost had Taker paralyzed with that match with Goldberg, and thank God nothing like that ever happened again. But that is probably one of the biggest moments where it's just like, boy, a red flag should go up right there, because got two guys past their prime, and one of them almost paralyzed the other. That's like, whew, okay, let's pull this back. Maybe it's time to start looking in the mirror a little.
Yeah. And I think another big key factor here, to which makes me believe that this is it, is the fact that Vince spoke about it. Um,
Yeah.
I, I I think if there was any inkling that this was, I don't think Mark said, "Hey, I want to come back and do my own celebration at Survivor Series 30." I could be, or 30th anniversary. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I think the fact that it seems to me that Vince now and publicly, openly on the program has acknowledged this is it for the Undertaker, to me seems to set the table that this is it. This is done. We're not going to see this anymore. Prism says, couldn't he just show up as Mark Calloway looking like he normally does? How Big Evil dresses if he were to do promos? Maybe, maybe. Um, in the end, the character, the American Badass, I think the legacy of that now is much more appreciated than when it first was kind of around and the couple years after, because I do think people pine to get the dead man back. However, um, the legacy, the body of the legacy and the most memorable moments, I really do believe are with this character. We talked about it Saturday, Maddie. If there's a couple things I would have liked to have had. There's two things I think could have brought this a little more full circle, and that would have been I would have liked to have seen him in his original ring gear,
Hmm.
or a replication of it, because he probably doesn't fit in that anymore. um, and B, and again, this is just my own, what I would like to have seen. I mean, maybe he wasn't available, maybe he was asked, maybe it wasn't even a thought, but I thought it would have brought it back full circle if Ted DiBiase could have came out and introduced him.
That would have been interesting. That would have been cool if he had done that. Um, I for me personally, the only thing that you know I feel like it was really well done. I think one of the cool things that they could have done was kind of have like the screen, like they did that one time at Survivor Series. Andy brought it up, where it just kind of showed all the different forms of the Undertaker. I thought that'd
Yeah.
be kind of cool, because you get to see just how much he evolved over time, because no one evolved like Taker did. I mean, you could separate every look. You could probably have top 10 matches with every single look and go on forever with that. But it just shows, like, this is a guy who was always changing with the landscape of the company, from when he came in that Hulkamania era. It was kind of towards the end of the Hulkamania era. And then the New Generation era had its own look. Attitude era changed everything again, went to the American Badass, then came back. It's just he always had something different, and he was always changing with WWE, which was always cool to see that.
Yeah, and particularly when you talk about a gimmick like this is definitely like a 90s gimmick written all over it. When
Yeah.
you look back and look at, you had everything from Doink the Clown to, Portuguese Man of War, and all kinds of real kind of weird, cheesy gimmicks, particularly in that, new generation era in those early 90s. But when you look at it, to be able to take that character and throughout all the changes that we've had in culture and just in general, and find a way to take that character that is larger than life, that's supernatural, and find a way to make it current, relevant, and evolve over time through generation after generation. To sit back and say, I've worked with Bruiser Brody in my first match, and in my final match, I worked with AJ Styles. I mean, that tells you a lot about just the man as a professional wrestler, and then the evolution of the character. I mean, in his debut match, he worked against, what was it, Dusty Rhodes. I'm trying to think of who was in that match. Was
with
the
the
Boss
survivors.
Man? Yeah, wasn't Boss Man.
Dusty, Brett, and Jim, the Hart
Mhm.
Foundation. Who's it? Who's those? Coco Beware.
Coco Beware. It was 4, so that's who it was.
Yeah.
Like, you think about over the time and the names that this guy's worked with, Anthony Adis says, what about Shawn Michaels against the Taker, where Taker jumped over the top rope and he hit the cameraman and almost landed on his head. Insane spot. Think about that. Think about the beating this guy's taken. That's one of those spots, in my opinion, the greatest match of all time. And you think about that spot and how brutal that was on his body.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. And again, I know we're kind of programmed. It's that thing we talk about, right? Like, we're gonna go down this road again. I always bring up the 12 pay-per-views, right? I remember the days of four pay-per-views and a couple big events, and they would have like a Saturday night's main event that would feel big, or like WCW would have Clash of Champions that were like sub pay-per-views.
The actual definition
then,
of a sub pay-per-view.
Yeah, and then Bischoff and Vince Bischoff kind of forces Vince's hand, and now we're programmed that we have to have all these different events and stuff. When I think it's okay if they scaled it back to 5 or 6 a year for better storytelling. But this kind of goes along with it. Before Ric Flair, nobody expected this stuff for everybody that walks away. That we have to have this crazy pomp and circumstance parade of everything, and a ticker tape parade for everybody. And honestly, we don't need it. To me, it's starting to cheapen it a little bit because everybody gets the same thing, and not everybody's the same. Not everybody deserves that.
Yeah, you're
So
right.
I look at it that way, and I disagree. This is the character to do it this way, brother.
Yeah. It was a neat, kind of way to do it, but it was also because they had to, really. Prism was talking about the time that Kane and Taker dual pinned Austin for the title in '98.
The next day, everyone at school and work afterwards was like, "What the F is Austin gonna do?" Oh man, yeah, that was great.
That was a perfect example, though, of letting things breathe out, even though they had pay-per-views every month, because they had so little people in the main event, because it's funny, you don't realize how thin that main event roster was until you don't have Bret Hart because he's in WCW, and you lose Shawn Michaels because of his back injury and his drug problems and such. Then you only have Mick, Austin, Taker, and then they put in Kane. You only had 4 people for that whole time. And by just sheer dumb luck, The Rock turns out to be the big star that he turns out to be, and Triple H was on the rise, but that didn't happen until very late in the year. But, that's just crazy.
The thing with the legends in the beginning too, Matty, I think that was important to him to have those guys there, and kind of give them that moment for themselves and to be able to be there for him. So, I'm not going to critique them for how that was presented. I really didn't need to see all these people speak. I didn't need to see them hovering around the ring. I just felt like that was Taker's moment. I'm glad Vince topped out of the ring and didn't stay there and just gave it all to Taker. I don't know what people expect, aside from the same old shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way they did it was fine. You know, I mean, yeah, would it be cool if there had been fans? Of course there would have been. But at the end of the day, again, limitations are limitations. You know, what are you going to do? You can't put people in stadiums right now or arenas. That's not going to happen for a while. You know, I mean, it it is what it is, you know, and honestly, you know, Bryce is pretty much simply asking, so y'all think he's really done, and I actually think he is. I think that this
Yeah,
is the
Bryce, I
end,
do.
you know,
Yeah,
and you know, I think it's a fitting way for him to say goodbye to everybody, you know, and it's gonna be weird without him around. You know, WWE is gonna be kind of naked without Undertaker because you know, 30 years of being the most iconic out of everybody, you know, it's like, sheesh. You know, what are you gonna
yeah.
do now? What? You know?
Yeah, Bryce, I think that, Vince, I don't think I really realized when the moment was until it was this weekend because, like many, I know we've expected this, but, when he pulled the curtain back in the documentary Last Ride, I do think that you can understand why all these years he continued to come back when we asked ourselves the question 100 times, why does he keep coming back? He should just wrap it up. Um, Particularly after WrestleMania 33. But you can understand. But I just felt like watching that and seeing Vince kind of do that. Are we going to get you back? You're going to come back? You're going to come
Mm.
back? I think for me, even going into this, I was at maybe at like a 90%. He's going to walk away and leaving 10%. But I think Vince standing out there and giving the speech that he did and the acknowledgement and the true emotion there. Um, I don't think Vince would have did that if in his heart of hearts he believed that there was a chance that he was going to pull this card again. Um, but the fact that Vince was out there, to me, that kind of closed that gap at that 10%. I'll leave a 1% chance just to say I didn't totally close the door on it. But I would be shocked. I would honestly be shocked if he ever stepped foot as an active competitor in the ring again.
Yeah, I'd be shocked too. I mean, and to be fair, there's really nothing else for him to do, you know, and he's already put over so many great talents and he's elevated so many great, you know, generational wrestlers that he doesn't need to do it. You know, he doesn't need to do that anymore. He doesn't need to step in to have a match with another legend ever again. You know, he's done it all. And he's done everything from winning a world championship to being the locker room leader to being the head of the wrestlers court. He's done it all, man. It's just you can't find a single thing he hasn't done in the wrestling business.
Yeah, and I mean, again, you guys got to check out that Broken Skulls sessions, talking about wrestlers court and stuff. Really good stuff there. Um, so, kind of transitioning briefly, a couple quick points before we hop off. Really, the only thing I took from Raw, and I was a fan of this, is the triple threat match that they've set up through a series of matches to determine Drew's next opponent. Fan of this. Looking forward to Keith Lee, Matt Riddle, and AJ Styles going at each other. Also, uh, glad because I think there was the question out there: was the Fiend going to show up to go after Drew for the title? Was it Orton he was going after all along? I'm happy to see that. Loved the Alexa Nikki match. Big fan of that. Telling that story, maybe possibly, starting to put a bow on that storyline. Um, and really, that's all. That's the main things I think I took from Raw. Is there anything you want to add to that, or anything, any of those that you'd like to react to?
No, not really. I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head of the things that really stick out to you. You know, obviously they're getting things set up for TLC. You know, and it's going to be real interesting because they're going to do it from a stadium this time around. So that's
Yeah,
gonna be wild. It's gonna be from Tropicana Field, which probably be the most exciting thing. Well, actually, I can't say that anymore because the Rays were in the World Series, weren't they? Although nobody was there.
no, they had a couple fans. They had some fans there.
Oh, they did. Oh, okay, okay. But
Although it wasn't in Tropicana Field though. They played at they played in Arlington. It was a mutual
oh,
stadium.
okay, bubble. Okay, they did a bubble. Okay. No, well, I don't really watch baseball. So.
Uh, no, but this will be cool. I'm excited to see how this is all going to transpire in the baseball stadium. It'll be interesting, um, particularly because of how big it is. How are they gonna pull off a Thunderdome in there? That's going to be very, very, very
Yeah.
interesting.
So my question is how high are they going to make the belts? Are they going to do the 20-footer like they used to back in the day? They've
We'll
got the
see.
room to do
We'll
it.
see. We'll see. Um, Another thing I wanted to react to, Maddie, just because we haven't been on, and it was on last week on AEW, the Vegas trip for the Inner Circle, man. So damn good.
That whole thing, the segment with MJF and and Jericho. Oh my God,
Oh,
that whole
God.
thing.
The back and forth over the shots they were going to do, and then they settled on, I think, what, Everclear?
Yeah,
They settle
yeah,
on Everclear. They realize what a terrible idea it is. And then just kind of the way it was, listen, the production of this was amazing. Some random guy without a shirt ends up hanging out with them. Even just like at the end of, I love the nuances of things, right? So even just like the end of the first part, because it was a two-parter, where like they show them walking in slow-mo, and the dude with no shirt kind of trips over, and you see Jericho kind of half trip over him like drunkenly, but he like keeps his balance. Like I look at things like that and I'm like, man, that is great. That's great production, great acting. I mean, it was so damn good. Then they had Elvis.
yeah.
It was something else, man. I really enjoyed it.
You gotta love when they just say, you know what's the most ridiculous thing you can think of right now off the top of your head, and they say that, and Jericho and MJF are like, okay, we can turn that into gold, and then they proceed to do just that, and it's like, I was just joking, and you guys actually did this. Holy shit!
Oh, it's so good, so good.
Oh, but you would think like, holy shit, like how are they gonna get that over? And then you're like, nope, never mind. They got it over. They made it work. But then again, when you think about it, it's like, well, it is Jericho. So even if one is slagging, Jericho's gonna pick up the slack for everybody. And MJF is good in almost everything he's done so far. So it appears he's got even more dimensions to him. It's just great.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I agree with you. It's been really spot on so far. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that whole storyline continues to evolve. Um, Anything else for the greater good here, Maddie?
I mean, just because it's been a while, I just want to get your opinion on it because I know that AEW has continued to slowly change your opinion of them because of their booking. What
Mhm.
did you think of Full Gear? I never got a chance to really ask you.
Well, so in fairness, I haven't been able to watch the entire card, and I still eventually would like to, but I was away. But what I saw, it was good. I enjoyed it for the most part. Um, Omega Page was good. Um, just trying to run through the card in my head. I haven't seen Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara yet.
Gotcha.
Um, Trying to think. I can't remember the whole card honestly off the
Yeah.
top of my head. The way I had to watch it was weird. I had to basically watch it segmented. Um,
Okay.
but what I saw was very, very good.
Okay.
Um,
I was just wondering.
in terms of the actual program, I still have my issues with certain things. I still don't understand why JR is on there. I still don't understand why or how their timing of these picture in pictures is odd to me. They still haven't figured that out. Um, so I have an issue with that. That's just a production thing. Overall, the booking has been better. I have to say that. I've liked that a lot. I think that they're starting to highlight new stars, which I like. Um, I think the addition of the NWA women was much, much needed because their inability to bring in my opinion, suitable female stars to compete has been an issue. But I've enjoyed seeing like Allison Kay, who seems to now have parted ways with NWA, and I'm assuming is going to be a part of AEW going forward.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of her. I have been since Impact, so I think that's a good get for them. Obviously, Serena Deeb.
Yeah, getting a chance to showcase Thunder Rosa is always a good
Thunder
thing.
Rosa has been good. So, that's improved. Tag division has been pretty good. That team that they had, what was their name last week that opened up the match against the Bucks? The young kids.
Oh shit! What is their name? I
Anyway,
forgot.
impressive. And I thought that was cool. Again, more confliction though, right? So these kids get attacked after, and really they're attacked by a team who we haven't really seen on there. So that's another issue is people show up and nobody has any idea who they are. There's no backstory or anything like that. But I digress. And then the Bucks, who have been heels over the last month or month and a half, now all of a sudden their faces, they save these kids and they raise their hands. I don't know. That's
Yeah,
a little.
a little slip shot on the booking there, just a little bit.
But and again, you have to forgive me because I've been in vacation mode. The woman who debuted, who basically brought up Shaq, her
Oh,
exchanges with Brandy have been fantastic. And Brandy, that is the best I've seen Brandy in terms of her promo work. She was on fucking fire, I'll tell you that.
yeah.
Overall, AEW is definitely getting better. I'm sorry. I am still not into the John Moxley title run. It's just the same old stuff. My guess is Omega will be the guy to take the title off of him. If I was a betting man, particularly now that we know that Renee is pregnant, I'm sure he's going to take time off. My guess is that Omega will probably take the title off of him. Maybe they'll get a rematch or something that goes on. Eventually, he fades out for a couple of months. But to me, it's Dean Ambrose 2.0 still. There's nothing original about it, and that's my issue. I want to see something different from these guys. We don't see Brody Lee on. We haven't seen. I'm just gonna say Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona. Like this is the other thing is they've brought these guys in, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody said, oh, Matt Cardona, Zack Ryder, WWE didn't use him right, and now he's not being used at all in AEW. When he was used, it was to be like Cody's little buddy to help him out once or twice.
Yeah. I mean, they've been using Miro in a weird way. This is a little. It's kind of strange with the team he's with.
I don't mind the grouping or the pairing, but he's not being utilized. He's not
Yeah.
being utilized, and it's weird to me. I liked seeing Pac come back. I think I didn't realize how much I missed Pac until he came back. Eddie Kingston has been absolute fire.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Eddie Kingston's amazing. It's a shame that it's taken this long for anyone on a mainstream platform to utilize him. Because he's always been good. It's just he's always been an independent wrestler.
I would have been 1,000% on board if they would have taken the title off of Moxley and given it to Eddie Kingston. The problem is Eddie Kingston, and I think AEW is just as guilty for this. Eddie Kingston does not look like a world champion.
I
In the
mean,
eyes of the traditional belief of what a world champion looks like, Eddie Kingston does not look like a world champion. He's not. He's not the peak of a physical specimen. His gear is just kind of very whatever. It's very traditional wrestler esque. And it's a shame because the dude can work. He's an amazing storyteller on the mic. One of the best in the entire industry, hands down. I just truly believe that they wouldn't pull the trigger on that because I don't think that they believe he looks like a world champion. I hope that I'm wrong because I think Eddie Kingston would do wonders for that title. Even if it was for like a 3-month run, I think he would be a fantastic world champion for that program.
Absolutely. I mean, I I hope that that's not really the case. I mean, if it is, then I don't know. I think they need to wake up and realize that there's been plenty of world champions that don't look like world champions in the history of world championships.
Yep.
Mick Foley might be the first one that comes to mind. Did he ever look
Yep.
like a world champion? No. But were you crying like a bitch when he won in '99? You bet your ass you were when he won that title. I was. Even though I had to go, like I was crying. Why? Because who would have thought Mankind would have won the WWF title? No one would have thought that unless you were watching Nitro that night. But anyway.
Well, they told you. They let
Yeah,
you know to switch the channel, so.
Yeah, WCW screwed themselves over that night. Gotta love it when irony just comes back and bites you in the ass.
That's the night. That's the night things shifted. So,
Yeah.
and speaking of WCW, by the way, we just had the other Saturday when we were on the air with the guys in this very ring, and I know we kind of teased it or touched on it very briefly, but that was the 32-year anniversary since Ted Turner bought Crockett Promotions and officially rebranded as World Championship Wrestling. So pretty cool little tidbit that we just had that anniversary pass.
Wow.
And obviously the legacy still lives on.
It does.
But yeah, Maddie, overall, AEW coming around on me. Much better program now. I still hate this. Major issue for me. Everybody's in a faction. And the fact that MJF acknowledged it, that it seems like everybody in here is in a faction. You have to have a faction. It's overkill for me.
No, I got you on that one. And you're not wrong because, they did the same thing. I hate to say this. They did the same thing in WCW too, didn't they? How many people were
Yeah.
either in the NWO or they were part of the LWO or the NWO Wolfpack or the Flock, or the Four Horsemen, like it was like a 5 million faction. It was like, whoa. I mean, I know WWE had a period of time when they were faction heavy too, but Christ, that puts them to shame big time.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I'm actually excited to watch it next week. Remember WCW champion physiques, Mikey Whipwreck and Sandman. Yeah, brother. Yeah, you were spot on with that. But I think that's going to do it for us. I want to give a special shout out to my boy here, Mr. Mark Angel. Local independent wrestler, great guy, wrestles at H2O, Matt Tremont. And by the way, let's touch on that just because we haven't really been on the air. Matt Tremont, former guest on our show, recently around Halloween weekend, officially had his final match. And I just want to say congratulations to Matt for an outstanding career and for all the wonderful things he's doing at H2O, building some of the next bright stars who I guarantee you, if you're local to this area, the South Jersey and Philadelphia area, and you get a chance to go down in Williamstown and check out H2O Wrestling, particularly, with his school and what he's doing to develop talent down there, I promise you some of this talent he has will be big time. Big time.
Absolutely.
So if you're in this area and you want to start seeing some of the faces now from inception, that's the place to go. They run these awesome cards. They just ran one this past weekend called Pay Your Dues, to where a lot of that younger talent gets highlighted with some of their main roster talent, which they have some really great main roster talent as well. It's a cool organization to check out. So I suggest you guys, give it a whirl, give it a shot and check it out. But I would like to say from us here at A2D, I know from Maddie and myself, Matt's been a great friend to the program. And we want to say congratulations on an unbelievable career, and we're so thrilled for you and happy for you, and continued success with H2O and everything else that you do going forward.
Absolutely. Thank you for entertaining us through CZW, all the other promotions you worked through, and now through owning your own.
Yep, he's been all over. But yeah, it is Mark's birthday, so that's why Mark's one of his top heels down there, and I want to give Mark he's a chicken shit heel, but I want to give him a shout out because he's my boy. So
happy B-Day.
Shout out to Mark Angel. Happy birthday. His son is one of the rising stars of H2O right now, Marcus Mathers. So a lot of fun
Nice.
stuff happening down there. But anyway, shout out to our sponsors, obviously, Dr. Paul Vidal at Specialized Physical Therapy, John Coyle, all campus OC, obviously, Alex at phillydrinkers.com /A2D radio is where you're going to find the A2D collection. So shout out to them and check out all the great merchandise on their site. Ambuck Services, Michael Ambrose, ambuckservices.com. Let them know we sent you. You're going to get 20% off there. We love all of them. Thank you guys for everything that you do. Dr. Paul Vidal right down here. Whoop, wrong way.
There you go.
Specialized
You got it.
Physical therapy. Wow. I was doing so good at remembering it's the opposite of what you think, too.
I got it right and you got it wrong today. And see what I just did? Yeah.
And also, guys, listen, it's been a pretty big couple of weeks here at A2D Radio. We have so many shows. I think we're up to 17 shows now, somewhere in that ballpark. And, I mean, we have everything. Card Knocks, for all you card collectors out there, these guys are phenomenal. You want to learn how to really do that get into that industry, get into that business and card collecting the right way. Maybe earn yourself a little bit of money and invest into it the right way. These guys are the guys to check out, so make sure you're checking out Card Knocks. I think they're on Wednesday nights, I believe.
I believe so. And have you seen their setup? Man, it is
awesome.
I mean, I keep saying that, but I just really mean it's like it is a badass look they got going on for that show. It really is.
It really is. You got to check them out. They're on Wednesday nights. Also, tomorrow night, you can check out The Fix in the PM. Obviously, The Fix and AM and the PM fused together. Thursday night. Now, obviously, this Thursday is Thanksgiving, so I'm assuming there won't be any program. But typically, you guys aren't doing hockey happy hour, right?
No, we're not. We're taking this week off.
Okay, so typically, I would have Birds of a Feather. Maddie would have hockey happy hour. Both of those shows will be off this week, but you can usually check those out Thursday nights. Friday, you have Kep's Corner. You have Real Talk, which is a really good time. I'm sorry, Kep's Corner is Saturday. My bad.
Okay.
Friday night is Real Talk. That's the show where anybody on this platform, any of your hosts are invited. It's basically just a smorgasbord. We show up and we talk about whatever we want to talk about sports. Could be Eagles, could be Sixers, Flyers, something national. It's a free-for-all conversation. I know last week it was NBA free agency. And I mean that, especially on YouTube, that really blew up. But you can go, check it out. Come and see some of your favorite or least favorite personalities here at A2D. Get together, argue, have a good time, and have a conversation with you, the fam. Saturday is a busy day. We got Kicking It stateside in the morning. Then we have the weekly roundup. Then we have Kep's Corner. There we are. And then followed by In This Very Ring. Kep's Corner is really cool. It's a new show on this station. They do whatever the sports game's coming up. So it's not just Eagles, but the Eagles have been the trend now. They do a Madden simulation, and you, the viewer, can tune in, check it out. It's kind of like watching Twitch, right? It's a Madden simulation of the upcoming Eagles game. You as the viewer can come in, you can chime in, you can throw out play suggestions. So check that out. Great show over there. And obviously our boys In This Very Ring, they're going to be doing their own SmackDown recap, and I'm sure Survivor Series recap. Sunday, Agree to Disagree, the flagship. You know what it is. Those guys coming out here, a lot of hot fire to talk about Eagles as of late in a bad way. But check them out. Monday, the Sports Hounds. And then Tuesdays, typically Lazy Booking. And the ladies, and we've gotten so many great reviews on this. After Dark, A2D After Dark with the ladies, Ariana, Lindsay, Victoria, myself, and Tom jumping in with those ladies as well. So you can check that show out. I know it's a lot. I had to go through a lot of them. I hope I didn't miss any. I may have. I don't know.
I think you got them all.
I think so. I think I did. I'm getting better at this. I will tell you guys, programming note for us here at Lazy Booking over the next, say, between now and the end of the year, it's going to be a little bit weird. I know my work schedule is a little bit like really, really insane. And although I will still be able to do the After Dark show, With my work schedule, it'll be tough for me to be pulling double duty. So we're going to try to fit a couple of shows in here and there beforehand, before the end of the year when it's convenient for us. But overall, and we've talked to the guys over it in this very ring, probably for the most part similar to what the Fix and AM and the PM have done, just until the end of the year, barring any certain circumstances like a guest or, me being able to get out early. We're basically going to combine our show to theirs and jump in with those guys on Saturday nights when we're free. So if you might see more of Maddie over there. You might see more of myself. I don't know about you this week, Maddie. I can't do this week, but that's going to be starting next week. So don't expect a lazy booking next week unless some unforeseen circumstance allows us to bring it to you. But the ladies will be back next week. They had to take this week off. They'll be back next week for After Dark. But I want to make sure I put that programming note in case anybody is out there looking for lazy booking next week, next Tuesday night. Unfortunately, like I said, crazy time of the year for me to where it's very, very tough to commit to saying, yes, we're definitely going to do a show next week. And I don't want to, set an unrealistic expectation. So check us out. Follow us. You'll be able to know when we're going to be doing a show as long as you're subscribed. Subscribe to A2D on all the platforms, Facebook and YouTube. You'll be able to set your alerts. So if there's a lazy booking, the show will be set up and you'll get the alert that the show's going to be going on the air. If not, you find us on Saturday nights with the guys of In This Very Ring, and you get alerts for all the shows. So just get on there. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter, Twitch, all of our social media platforms. Get out there and follow us on all the podcast platforms, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, or iTunes, whatever you call it, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify. Get out there, subscribe. You can listen to our audio versions as well. So lots of fun stuff happening here. Appreciate you, fam, as always. That's all I got. I want to wish everybody, because I won't talk to you guys beforehand, I personally want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Maddie, anything you want to jump in here with?
I just want to say, I said it on the Hockey Happy Hour, and I'll say it here. I'm very, very thankful that we continue to grow and we continue to keep getting new reviewers and people coming back week in and week out wanting to catch us. So I just want to be very thankful to every one of the fans. Thank you so very, very much. You guys keep us running, and we do this because we love you guys and we love doing it. And thank you for making us enjoy it.
I echo that. I thank you guys. We have a continued following. We have names that continue to come back. Some of them, even when we go back and forth with them and week in and week out, run some of them down, and vice versa, they dish it back to us too. You guys continue to come back, and that just shows it's all love, all fun. You guys have the voice here, and you give us a voice, and I know I appreciate that very much. Everybody here does. So we love you guys. Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for your contributions to the show. I want to wish me and Maddie and everybody here at A2D want to wish your families very safe, very happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy it. I always say it's one of my favorite, if not my favorite, it's one of my favorite holidays. It's got all the F's. Family, friends, football, and food, man. That's all I need in my life that makes me happy. So for myself, for Maddie, for everybody here at A2D Radio, I want to say have a great week. Have a great holiday. We love you guys. And take care. Have a good night.